Apple is facing its biggest nightmare in years. Huawei is back, and it's not just competing. It's absolutely dominating the Chinese smartphone market once again. After being written off by many, after sanctions and global pressure, Huawei has staged a comeback so powerful that it's shaking the entire industry. iPhone sales in China are collapsing, while Huawei's latest devices are flying off the shelves. This is more than just a win for Huawei. It's a warning sign for Apple's global empire. Here's the reality. Apple's iPhone once looked untouchable in China. For years, it was seen as a status symbol, the must-have device for anyone wanting to show power, wealth, or style. But times have changed. Chinese consumers are no longer impressed with overpriced phones that recycle the same features year after year. They're frustrated with weak battery life, frustrated with limited upgrades, and frustrated that Apple keeps charging more while delivering less. Meanwhile, Huawei users carried their own pain. After US sanctions cut Huawei off from 5G, advanced chips, and Google services, many fans felt forced to switch reluctantly to iPhones or Samsung devices. It was a bitter compromise because people wanted to support Huawei but couldn't live without speed and connectivity, and that frustration built up over years. The Chinese market was waiting, desperately, for the moment Huawei could strike back. And when that moment finally came, it didn't just hit Apple. It shook the entire smartphone industry, and that breakthrough. Huawei's latest smartphones have done the impossible. Against all odds, they've returned with full 5G capability, powered not by American chips, but by Huawei's own homegrown technology. The Mate 60 series shocked the world when it launched with a Chinese-made 7nm chip, proving Huawei can innovate without relying on US tech giants. But it's not just about chips. These phones come loaded with Harmony OS, Huawei's answer to Android, creating a seamless ecosystem that rivals anything Apple or Google can offer. Add in satellite calling, insane camera power, and prices that undercut the iPhone by hundreds of dollars. And suddenly, Huawei isn't just back in the game, it's leading it. The result? Sales exploded across China almost overnight. Apple's once loyal customers are switching sides, lining up for Huawei devices, and leaving the iPhone collecting dust on store shelves. Now let's look at the numbers, because this isn't just fanboy hype. According to multiple market research firms, Huawei's Mate 60 series sales have exploded, pushing Huawei back into the top spot in China's smartphone market, overtaking Apple after years of being sidelined. Reports from Counterpoint Research show that in early 2025, Huawei's market share surged past 20%, while Apple's dropped significantly. In some regions of China, Huawei devices are outselling iPhones by nearly 2-to-1. And remember, this comes after Apple had record success just a year ago, making this fall even more shocking. Tech analysts around the world are stunned. Bloomberg called Huawei's comeback a nightmare scenario for Apple. Reuters described it as a turning point in the global smartphone war. Even on Chinese social media platforms, like Weibo, users are celebrating the return of Huawei, calling it the pride of China. And the phones themselves? Independent tests confirm the power. Stress tests on the Mate 60 Pro showed its battery lasted hours longer than the iPhone 15 Pro under heavy gaming. Camera reviews on platforms like DxOMark ranked Huawei among the very best in the world, often beating Apple in low light and zoom performance. This isn't just talk, it's hard evidence. The data is clear. Huawei isn't crawling back. It's charging forward, full speed, and Apple is struggling to keep up. And this sudden shift has sent shockwaves through Cupertino. Apple, once the king of China's premium smartphone market, is now scrambling. Reports from Wall Street Journal suggest iPhone sales have dropped so sharply in China that Apple is offering rare discounts and trade-in bonuses, something Apple almost never does. It's a clear sign of panic. Meanwhile, Google, which relies heavily on Android dominance, sees Huawei's Harmony OS as a ticking time bomb. Imagine millions of users in China, and possibly beyond, leaving the Google ecosystem entirely. No Gmail, no Google Play Store, no YouTube. For Google, that's not just lost users, it's billions in lost ad revenue. Even Samsung, while not as heavily invested in China, is keeping a nervous eye on Huawei's surge. Why? Because if Huawei can build world-class chips without US technology, then the entire balance of power in the smartphone industry shifts. Suddenly, the West doesn't have the same leverage it once enjoyed. And let's be honest, the memes are everywhere. Social media is flooded with posts mocking Apple's innovation drought. Jokes like iPhone 17, now with slightly new wallpaper, are going viral. While Huawei users brag about features Apple hasn't even dreamed of yet, the rivals can feel it. The ground beneath them is shaking. And Huawei is the one causing the earthquake. So what does all of this mean for you, the everyday smartphone user? It means choice. For years, Apple has dictated the rules. High prices, small upgrades, and features locked behind paywalls. But Huawei's dominance changes that game completely. Imagine owning a phone that charges faster, lasts longer, and doesn't cost you a month's salary. Huawei's new devices come packed with features like satellite calling. So even if you're stuck in the mountains or a remote village, you'll never lose connection. The cameras? Built for creators, with zoom and night vision modes that make iPhone photos look outdated. And here's the kicker. Huawei is offering all of this at prices far below Apple's. That forces Apple to finally rethink its strategy. If competition drives Apple to innovate faster, you win. If it forces Google to improve Android, you win again. And if Huawei pushes the entire industry forward, well, every smartphone user around the world benefits. For Chinese buyers, this is also about pride. Buying Huawei means supporting homegrown tech that rivals and even outshines the West. But for global users, it's about finally seeing the end of Apple's monopoly-style pricing and getting real value for money. But here's the bigger picture. This isn't just about one phone model or one sales chart. Huawei's comeback signals a massive shift in global tech power. If China can develop world-class chips, software, and ecosystems without relying on the US, then the balance of power in the entire smartphone industry, and maybe even the tech world, starts tilting east. What happens if Huawei takes this dominance beyond China into Europe, Africa, and Asia? Suddenly, Apple's grip on the premium market weakens. Google faces a rival OS that can't be banned or controlled, and Samsung finds itself fighting on two fronts, Apple above and Huawei below. This isn't just a win for Huawei. It could mark the beginning of a new era, one where Western tech giants no longer dictate the rules, and innovation is led by unexpected players. And that future is coming faster than anyone thought. So tell me, do you think Huawei's comeback is the end of Apple's dominance? Or will Apple fight back stronger than ever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this battle is far from over. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the smartphone war, smash that like button. It really helps more people see this story. Don't forget to subscribe, because next week we're uncovering another shocking twist in the tech world. Google's biggest secret flop yet. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.